If you've picked up a JRPG, odds are some of them have had strange premises, and this couldn't be any more true for Eternal Sonata. Back when I owned a 360, the JRPG selection on the console was pitiful, so I'd take what I could get. I played the game to completion, but I remember feeling obliged to complete it just to see where the weird plot would take me, and replaying it on the PS3 version, I was reminded it wasn't necessarily a good thing. Games like Drakengard made me want to stick through the gameplay because the story was interesting enough to keep me involved, however, this one just baffled me. It's filled with interesting concepts, but most of them fall flat in execution, and I'll be listing them off as I attempt to give this 30-hour game a brief analysis and review, because unlike the game, I don't want to waste your fucking time. The game was created back in 2007 exclusively for the Xbox 360, but was essentially given a special edition on the PlayStation 3 just a year later. It was developed by Crescendo, a company who developed games like Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and Tales of Zestiria. What's interesting to note about Crescendo is the company's founder, Hiroya Hatsushiba, who was a sound programmer in Tri-Ace. He eventually split from the company to form Crescendo, and funnily enough, Eternal Sonata's main theme is music. Specifically music by Frédéric Chopin, which you're listening to now. He was a world-renowned pianist in the 1800s whose music was rivaling that of Beethoven and Mozart. So how else was the game influenced by Chopin?
That's a pretty long name. Could you say it one more time?
Frédéric Francois Chopin. But you can just call me Frédéric. Frédéric Francois Chopin.
Yeah, this is a thing. Now in other circumstances I put a spoiler warning, but for this game there's really no point. After about an hour into the game you come to the realisation that Eternal Sonata is based all in Frédéric Chopin's head as he's dying in his bed in Paris. The game does a hilariously pathetic attempt at trying to make us continue playing, like it realises how stupid this entire concept is by saying, no, what if the dream Frédéric's having is real? Aren't you meant to be a fucking doctor? Frédéric openly admits throughout the game that this entire world is being dreamt up by him, but the characters still let him tag along despite coming across as a total crazy person.
At this moment, I'm asleep in Paris.
Did you say Paris? That's not a place I've ever heard of.
It legitimately pissed me off when I found this out, because right as you hit that cheeky new game, you're treated to one of Eternal Sonata's infamously long cutscenes, which takes around 15 minutes explaining how beautiful the town is instead of letting us make that opinion ourselves. And then to find out that it isn't even real? No.
The rippling surface of flowing water transforms the soft light of the morning sun. The beams combine, becoming a spotlight that paints the stage. The flowers awaiting the curtain's rise display faces of bright red and brilliant yellow. They turn their ears to listen to the performance that is about to begin. Accompanied by the gentle rhythm of a babbling brook, the birds begin to sing. Meanwhile, a mischievous sea breeze causes a rustling amidst the leaves of the trees, disrupting the concert.
I don't think I've ever played something that throws the "it's all a dream" shit right out of the door. It makes all of the events that happen throughout the story completely pointless because the game doesn't let us forget that Chopin is dreaming. Speaking of events that happen throughout the game, what is the plot of Eternal Sonata? Well, let's rewind a bit. The game is based loosely on the events that happened in Chopin's life, such as the Polish Revolution and the death of his sister, Amelia. Death plays a very important part in the story, as individuals who can use magic are all going to die prematurely. This causes people to avoid them due to the false claims that whatever disease they have is contagious. Again, this is based loosely on Chopin's tuberculosis and how people would openly avoid individuals who had it due to fear of being infected. During the opening scene of the game, we're introduced to one of these magic users, Polka.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
In a flashback, we're introduced to Micro Polka and her mother. Get used to hearing names like this because the naming conventions are, dare I say, a little obvious.
I'm Allegretto. What can Andantino possibly do? Legato, stop worrying. Come on. Think for a minute, Beat.
Falsetto, if you wouldn't mind.
With names this stupid, you think they'd name a character Tuba.
Listen carefully, Tuba.
There are many things in this world that can charm people's hearts, just like the moon charms the sea. It can lead people to start terrible conflicts. If something like that ever were to happen, the only way to stop it would be for you to jump into the ocean.
The game transitions into Polka as a 14-year-old girl on her way to sell something called floral powder in the local city. When she gets there, she's told that something called mineral powder is the hypest shit and she should get the fuck out of there. She uses her magic on an injured man, causing the crowds to run away due to fear of infection. Fast forwarding, Polka meets a strange man who can use magic. He's also a crazy person who believes the world he lives in is a dream, so I guess the most logical course of action is to invite him back to my house for tea and crumpets.
Frédéric, there's something I'd really like to show you, but it's in the forest. Would you come with me?
You want me to go with you to the forest? You mean right now?
Frédéric, she's only 14.
Yes, because it can only be seen at night.
Frédéric.
It's at this point I realise something. God damn, this game is gorgeous. There are two things Eternal Sonata does really well: environments and music. There's so much detail put into mostly every dungeon, and when the music hits, it fucking hits. Take this dungeon for example. Now usually I roll my eyes to a point of having a stroke whenever I'm introduced to a sewer level, but here I was all, "Aw mate, this is on banging graphics, you know, right?" You may be wondering what the gameplay is like, and it's actually not that bad. The game gives you a set amount of time to control your character and string combos together by mashing the X button. Once your echo chain is high enough, you can unleash massive damage by pressing triangle, which allows your character to perform a special move. What I love about the battle system is their use of light and shadows. If your characters are standing in a dark area, their special moves will change, same if they're standing in a light area. This also works when clouds are moving across the sky and block out the sun. Now defending is a lot like parrying, as you have to wait till this chance symbol appears above the character's head and hit the circle button at the right time, lowering enemy damage by a massive amount. It's a shame that the combat doesn't really evolve past this. Near the end of the game, I was zoning out so hard I completely forgot to defend, meaning game overs were caused by my complete lack of interest.
The animals that live in the forest around here aren't really very strong, so I should be able to defeat them without too much trouble. But just to be safe, I'll go over the basics of how to fight again.
Redo, can you tell me what it is we have to do to fight again?
What?
Please,
Wait a
let me
minute.
play
I
the
thought I taught you
game.
all.
Anywho, Polka and Chopin reach the intended destination, introducing us to a beautiful patch of symbolism. Polka explains that these flowers are called death lights by the general populace and are seen as a bad omen. However, she's come to call them Heaven's Mirror, as they're rumoured to guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Now I want you to forget all about these to the end of the game. Trust me, fuckers don't turn up again. Guess they charge too much for screen time, huh? Next, we're introduced to our next set of main characters, Allegretto and Beat, a couple of young thieves.
Beat, run!
Gotta keep one jump ahead of the breadline, one swing ahead of the sword. I steal only what I can afford. That's everything.
Now you may have noticed that the character animations aren't that stellar. Everyone has these creepy, janky movements like they're marionettes who are just too far from the nearest restroom to drop a massive brown friend with their tight little buns.
It's sticky. The reason the bread is so expensive is the high taxes on it. The only thing that's not taxed is mineral powder.
At least it keeps the tax on medicine cheap.
To ask about the taxes on floral powder.
Taxes? Really? Fucking taxes? Like, come on, Chopin, you think you could have dreamt of something a little better there? So the person in charge of the medicine taxes is Count Waltz.
Do they think they'll start a revolution just by declaring they oppose the government?
Ooh, I wonder who the baddie is.
Count Waltz made the mineral powder tax-free as it has some nasty side effects that eventually turn people who take it into mindless slaves who he can easily bend to his will. When our heroes reach a location called a Go-Go Forest, we meet with one of Waltz's baddie brigade who wants to find something called a glowing Agogo.
The Agogos.
Agogos?
Agogos?
He grinds us into the dirt and we wake up to see Allegretto, Beat and one of the guardians of a forest who claims the Agogo are creatures who rarely show up in front of humans but for some reason save Polka and Chopin's life. And glowing Agogos? Boo! Moving swiftly along, we meet up with a goat herder called Viola who's having a spot of bother with some mineral powder addicts. Fun fact, once you get Viola, you've won the game. No, I'm serious, just check this shit out. Her attacks get more powerful the further away from an enemy she is, so you equip her with some movement enhancing shoes, bring her to the edge of a map and win the battle. God bless you. In the next city, we're shown a good example of how this game tries to waste our goddamn time. A child falls off a cliff, so we're sent to go find him. We then have to traverse an entire dungeon to get to the little brat, only to fight no boss and continue the story. The same thing happens later into the game, where we're sent into a dungeon to collect some water to bring a little girl's dead plant back to life. Okay, listen, I've got an idea. You take those 2 dungeons, and you put them at the end of the game and make them optional. That way they don't feel like total pace breakers and we don't have to press this.
Hey, mister. We came here because we want to see whoever's in charge of this castle.
Oh, you'll see him all right. From yourself.
Oh yeah, we find this little girl's twin locked in a dungeon or something. Yeah, she's really annoying.
Aha! See? I knew it! Just like I said before, I am taller than you. Ha ha!
They never used this mirror for anything, it was only used for this gag.
Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen a clam that had its shell completely closed.
What the hell are you saying? Hey look, new characters. Jazz, Falsetto and Claves, otherwise known as Ondantino, a rebel organisation built to take down Count Waltz. They were looking for the guardian of Agogo Forest to chat about the glowing Agogos and boom, wouldn't you know it? She's right there. As they're backtracking a bit, they run into this guy again, who kamikazes into the bridge, knocking them down into the river, separating the group. See, I feel like I should be caring about this, but I just don't. You know? I haven't even got a controller. Fast forwarding past a ton of nonsense, we reach a small house that Ondantino used as a hideaway. Jazz appears to suspect that Falsetto is a spy due to, I don't know, bullshit happening, I guess. Claves defends Falsetto and then, oh no, it was her all along! I fell for it, hook, line and sinker. I'm lying, it was really obvious. This next scene, I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. She paces around for 8 minutes before she finally croaks. I even invited my good friend Pokey to watch this scene with me. This is his reaction. She's got bad constipation.
The information you provided us was very valuable.
I need to take a shit.
Prune brothers. Identity was revealed. Don't take it personally.
Oh, bitch, just die already.
I know, right? Oh no, trust me, you're saying this now, right? Get ready for this. This is, it's almost comical. Now just look at this. Now, these, we've already seen these, so we're flashing back to watching things that have happened about, like, an hour before.
Well, they do taste good in soup.
Only an hour?
Yeah.
Why did I say those things to him?
Do you mean...
You know, maybe if you also...
Oh, now look at this.
I like how she wastes her breath on this.
Look at this.
Oh, no.
It flashes back to the bit we just saw.
Fucking... Oh, my God, this beautiful pieces, actually.
As a woman, I just don't want to lose to Falsetto.
The patriarchy.
As a woman. Again, call for help.
You know.
Look for something to help yourself.
Again.
Hold on. Wouldn't the guards have been watching the dungeon?
Holy fuck, dude.
Remember,
this is actual trash. This is genuine trash.
Like we were on equal footing.
What were you holding?
Decent cinematography.
Oh, a dove.
We got a wonderful composer, but
finally. Thank fuck for that. I was joking. She's alive.
God damn it! I like to think that the reason why she's not doing anything about this is because she has to deal with the American healthcare system. Therefore, she's just like, I can't afford the bills though. I mean, I'd rather die.
Save us, Donald Trump.
Build that wall between my body and swords. Fuck.
He'll make anime real.
How many times did you just die? You just don't die.
Oh, I'm sweating. This is too funny. Now, do you want to know how long that took?
How long?
8 minutes.
Jesus.
So, Pinko is dead, and we move on to Chopin and friends, who are apparently fished right out of the water by this guy. This is Prince Crescendo of Baroque City, a city Count Waltz has his eye on. Chopin has a moment on the ship where he starts to question what is reality and what is fantasy. Could the world he's in be real or a dream?
It's a dream.
After this, they're attacked by pirates. have to navigate through a snowy mountain, a large volcano, only to lead straight back to a go-go forest. We then learn that the Agogos only glow when they're around Polka, and she assumes it's to do with her Astra. Wait, hold it. The hell is an Astra? Well, it seems like the game realised it did a piss poor job at explaining itself, as halfway up the snowy mountain, Polka has a flashback for no reason where her mother explains to her what an Astra is. I guess it's meant to be her soul? I honestly don't know, it's something. Right, so get this. Polka is carrying a lucky trinket in the shape of a strange rock. She claims she's held onto it since she was a wee babby, and it was given to her by the one she loves. She throws it in the ocean because of reasons, and earlier we see Allegretto picking up a strange rock from the beach. Could it possibly be?
Actually, that reminds me. I found a rock with a weird shape today at the shore by Retardando. Here.
Now, because this can't be a coincidence, Polka falls in love with Allegretto because he handed her a rock. Well, that's just the best script ever. Speaking of shitty romances, Viola has somehow fallen in love with Jazz, who despite being a complete blank slate now has 3 women in love with him. My only guess as to why she has feelings for him is Viola is pretty much forgotten throughout this entire story, so they needed to find a way to give her a bit of motivation. Also, she has a pet rat. Does it do anything?
Look, Arco's saying cheer up too.
Polka faints, and this is honest to God the only symptom she's shown throughout the entire game. The game loves to tell us that Polka is sick, but we've never seen her cough, sneeze, or anything regarding a sickness. But don't worry, she's awoken when we find a big glowing ball to make her feel all better. Eventually, we find ourselves at Mount Rock, where Count Waltz has been finding resources for the mineral powder. He arrives on a dragon? Only to get his ass handed to him. When he puts a regular Agogo near Polka, it starts glowing, meaning he can create an even more potent version of the mineral powder.
I'm not ready to admit defeat quite yet. Legato! Drink all of that medicine immediately.
You could have just not drank it and let him die.
Or do you intend to disobey me?
I suppose I have no choice.
What do you mean you don't have a choice? He's about to be decapitated, you big dum-dum. Now Waltz has his super weapon, he blasts a hole in the space-time continuum, leading the party to the afterlife. When we eventually fight him again, the general build-up is pretty good. This backdrop looks kind of intimidating and I can dig it. This boss kicked my ass. What's really ironic is this giant beast that's apparently a world destroyer is super easy to counter and its attacks are incredibly sluggish. Waltz, on the other hand, hits like a truck, can get behind you meaning you can't defend, and can sometimes attack twice in a row. It was the first time in the game I had to think which group of characters I should use, but in the end I ended up using Viola and running to the edge of the map. Seemed to do the trick. Beating Waltz reveals why he's been such a naughty boy this entire experience. Turns out he doesn't want to be forgotten and lost to the pages of time, so in one last desperate attempt, he uses the weapon to destroy the world. Jumping through yet another portal transports us to Polka's hometown, where things are a little messy. It's at this point where the true final boss is revealed.
Don't you understand? You're nothing more than imaginary characters I've created in my mind! Now, let the test begin. We'll see whether whether my spirit can become a lance, able to pierce through all of you in battle. We'll see if I'm truly such a weak human being!
To a lot of people, this boss fight might seem ridiculous, which it is, but I still couldn't help feeling hyped. They managed to pull off an amazing remix of Chopin's Revolution Etude, which really makes you think that defeating him will end the world they exist in. If you get killed by Chopin, you're greeted with the bad ending. Chopin wakes up, then goes back to sleep. If you beat him... Polka falls off a cliff because she needed to die in order to reset the world, is told to her by this old lady who we met earlier into the game. Chopin comes back to life and spouts a huge 10-minute scene where he stands still on a black background. Polka seemingly falls through time and space itself and lands in her mother's arm, which explains how she has the rock Allegretto gave to her at age 5. Chopin uses his dream powers to bring her back to life and allowing him to live in this dream world even after death, essentially making this his afterlife and stopping the world from constantly resetting, allowing Polka and the others to live a normal life. Chopin wakes up as a ghost and plays on the piano as Blondie here sings us a song.
Say, what's the name? Krista Chandler. What's that name? Krista Chandler.
Well, what an adventure. I won't deny that I was happy the game ended, but at the same time, despite me razzing on it a fair bit, there are still positive elements throughout the game that I'd say hardcore JRPG fans should check out. As I mentioned earlier, the environments in the game are genuinely impressive and some of the better looking graphics I've seen on the PS3 system. And whilst the cutscenes are honestly some of the worst I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through, there is this option. This is good. This is really good. Overall, I'd say this is a game that only the most hardcore fans of JRPGs can find any enjoyment out of. But if you're interested in video game aesthetic and bizarre premises, this might just be the game for you. Now, play us out, old friend.